Okay, I
All
guess
right.
we're live. Hi, Heather.
Hi there. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm just finishing last minute text thing. There we go. We're on.
Okay,
I'm doing
Rob.
great. Thanks for having me. Thanks
Yeah,
for having me on my StreamYard. I guess.
I know that was too funny. Well, I really do want to thank you for letting me use it. I was getting ready to buy the subscription, and then I went in and it allowed me, and I was like, okay, cool, I can use this.
Yeah.
So
Good.
So let me introduce you to our audience. I think a lot of them probably already know you, but so Dr. Hammerstedt, I think she's actually like lying about her age. I think she's like 100 years old because she has accomplished so much in her life. I don't even know how she could have done that. So no, I really respect and admire how much you've done for getting our population more healthy, like period.
Thank
So,
you.
Yeah. So, Dr. Hammerstedt is a double board certified physician in both emergency medicine and lifestyle medicine. She also has a master's in public health from Harvard. And she is in addition to being an ER physician and the mother of two youngest children, she is the CEO of a company called Holist Health that deals with basically helping people with improve their lifestyle in order to avoid or reverse chronic illnesses. So I'm just going to turn the mic over to Heather and let her tell you guys a little bit more about herself as well as about her journey um, and whatever else she wants the audience to know. So
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks. So, thanks for spurring us here in these two lifestyle medicine coaching groups or lifestyle medicine for physicians groups to do this speaker summit. And you're going to be doing them intermittently over the next few weeks and months, we hope. And so stay tuned for her to do a lot of other interviews. So yeah, I'm Heather. I live in Boise, Idaho. I have two little ferocious Muppets that I call my children. They're 5 and 8 years old. They're currently locked out of my bedroom playing Legos so that I can talk to you guys. Yeah, I practice emergency medicine. I've been practicing full time for 13 years and am cutting back to part time as we speak, which is very exciting. And yeah, I have an MPH in global health and work in East Africa doing emergency medicine education. I've been doing that with global emergency care for about 12 years. If anyone's interested in global health, let me know, and I'd be happy to show you what we do. And then in the last 2.5 years, I started this labor of love of mine called Holist. Holist is the play off of cardiologist, gastroenterologist, nephrologist, just using the whole person. And at Holist, what we really do is that we focus on mostly busy professional women who want to rewire their brains around how they talk to themselves, who they are, what their bodies are, and how they think about using food. And to get to that long-term sustainable health that we know that lifestyle medicine can bring with a side effect of weight loss. And so it's been really, really fun at this point, and we can certainly kind of dive into my journey a little bit so that people can learn about business development and coaching and things like that. But at this point, I have 12 coaches, 2 salespeople on my team, and about 60 clients right now. It's a 12-week program. We run both personal and group programs, and we can dig in a little bit about those and how those are set up as well. And those of you who are watching, we're on StreamYard, and so please make us some comments so that we can see you here on Facebook. Drop a live if you're watching us live, and a replay if you're watching on replay. That helps Facebook push it up with the algorithm so that other people can see it later. And then also click that little StreamYard link in the post so that we can see who you are when you comment, and ask us questions while we're going through here, and we're just like totally winging it. So the more you interact and ask, we'd be happy to answer. So that's kind of us in a nutshell. What are you curious about, Yashoda?
Yeah, like I actually love to hear like how people got into this, the whole how did you get involved in lifestyle medicine and how has that kind of changed your own life? you will.
Yeah. So I was in medical school at Temple in Philly in 2000 to 2004. And I went into medical school because I became obsessed with the book Healing with Whole Foods by Paul Pritchard. It's actually like a traditional Chinese medicine textbook around using foods. And so I was like, well, I'm going to go to medical school and I'm going to become a family practice doc and I'm going to have a grocery store attached to my, practice and like all these things. I was just so excited. And I was in my third year of medical school and I realized I wasn't learning anything about food or movement or mindfulness or anything that like I think we all intuitively know or knew makes such a huge difference. And so I actually chose in my fourth year of medical school to twice a month take the train to New York and go to the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, which was at that time an in-person program. It's now an online program. And just like learned all of the things from different perspectives around food. And I became a health coach then. I didn't use it much, it was more that I just wanted to know it for me and I wanted to be able to share it with my patients. And when I decided to go into emergency medicine, I just sort of, because I love emergency medicine, I love the impact that we have the chance to make at the time when someone really needs us. So I fell in love with it and went that route and just sort of thought I was never going to get back to that part because I wasn't going into family medicine. But then I went I went to India to study Ayurveda and I did a year-long medical acupuncture course. And I've spent tons of time in East Africa working where things are just generally more unprocessed, right? And I just kept putting my hands up for all these things. And then 3 years ago, when I started kind of getting that kind of itch of professional dissatisfaction, I never burned out, but just sort of was like, feel like I'm not providing enough information to the people that I want to be providing it to in a way that, and then I discovered lifestyle medicine. So I did that certification and I started and I still do this, like printing out from the EMR nutrition and exercise prescriptions and like figuring out how to talk to people in 2 minutes or less about what you think they need them to do. And I've created an online course for physicians around that aspect of lifestyle medicine for people who aren't practicing it full time to really like learn how to do that. And then,
I'm sorry to interrupt, but would you say that would be a useful course for like specialists? Because I've had some people who are like dermatologists or there's another physician who's a pediatric gastroenterologist and she says, 25 patients, my patients are already obese. I'm really worried about their long-term health. So it sounds like maybe
there are like 3 different types of docs that I think really benefit from the course. It's an 8-week course. You can do it on your own time. And it's mostly audio and then written references. But anyway, the 3 groups of people I think that do really well are people who are wanting to study for the exam and are a different type of learner, right? Like they want to get it visually and in a different way in audio. And then people who just don't know what lifestyle medicine is and they don't know if they really want to get into and do the whole certification. And then, that last group is like really the ones that I made it for is like me in emergency medicine or like my friends in trauma surgery and like those folks who like we're passionate about this, but we think we can't do it because we're acute care specialists or something like that. And so I really did frame it that way. There's like, a 10-minute audio lesson and then a 2-minute takeaway and then assessments and plans for clients or patients that goes with it. So it's good for all those folks. And then I just decided to just start coaching. I already had my health coaching certificate. And now I had this lifestyle medicine training and they do such a great job of teaching that coaching model for us as well. Because we all know it's so different than medicine. And so I just kind of like got 20 people who wanted to lose weight, who trusted me or trusted someone who trusted me. And I just like practiced. I did it super cheap and I built this program off of what they needed, right? Because like, I've lost weight a couple times in my life, mostly around children, but I've never really struggled with being very overweight. And so I didn't know, I didn't know what they would need. And so I think it's a good thing to think about if you're building a program like that is like not, and you and I were talking about this before we came on, but like, it doesn't have to be done and perfect, right? In order to do it. And we, as doctors, we're often like afraid to just do it, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I found it was much more useful. So I did like a 3-month program with like 20 people, and I built the content and I created all of it, and I figured out some sort of automations and figured out how I like to coach. And then I did it a second time with another group of people to sort of like validate and twitch and move and things around, and learn more about what my people needed. And then I hired my first couple coaches, and I've been running with it ever since. And we're doing really well.
Yeah. So I think one of the questions that's probably going to pop up into some people's minds, and guys, if you're live, please start putting questions in there so Heather can start answering. But how did you, like, what was your sort of mental framework mindset? You're a full-time ER doc, you have kids, like, and I always tell people, everybody only has 24 hours, whether you're Bill Gates or, whoever. How, because that seems to be a big sort of barrier for people. Like, I want to do this, but I literally don't have time. I have this full-time job and I have all these other. What would you say would be maybe a couple of tips for physicians to kind of start changing their mindset around that, making it a priority to build their,
I mean, for me, I was
dreams.
Yeah, for me, I was just getting to the point where like I just didn't think that I should only be able to earn money by having my physical body and my brain being the one doing it. Like that all of these experiences that I'd had over my life, that I put my hands up for, meant that I understood the skills and the ideas of other ways of practicing medicine or of thinking about health and wellness. And so I figured that for me, my skill was going to be pulling together those people. So in my team, I have hypnotherapists and I have life coaches and I have a neurologist and I have, nursing and I have dietitian, right? So I have an Ayurvedic person. Like I kind of just like can curate that team for whoever the person has. So that was the first thing for me, was realizing that like, I love emergency medicine, but I don't want to only be able to support my family by and now wearing a mask at 3 a.m, right?
Yes,
so, and so I wanted to find a different way. And so I was inspired to use my background for that. Now, in terms of prioritizing it, I think you have to sit down and be honest with yourself about the amount of time and the amount of money that you're going to spend to try to do this. And I think you have to look at your life and decide if you have the space to do that in. And I don't think you can go in half-hearted. I think you have to decide like we're all in or not. And for me, what all in meant was that I still worked full-time emergency medicine and I worked a full-time job building this holist, not paying myself for over 2 years. And my husband was part of the process and he was all in for doing everything else. And he was already staying home with our kids, but like really, doing all the cooking, all the shopping, all the school stuff, like everything, because basically I would work 7 nights on and work around those shifts doing work for Holist. And then I would work 7 straight days on Holist. And I've done that until just this last month. And so when you made the joke about like, how old am I? that's why is because I put my head down. The things that I wish I would have understood more was how long it was going to take, how much money it was going to take, and how I should have asked for help much earlier in terms of coaching programs. And, since last August, I have been through 3 coaching programs, one on marketing, one on business, one on sales. And I have 100 times my revenue over that period of time. And it was because of asking for help.
So you have a coach who is coaching you through these
exactly
through these phases. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I wish that I would have done that earlier. What did you say?
Right. I said it sounds like that made it go a little bit smoother and faster.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And we have a lot of physician colleagues who are doing some of these coaching programs for us. And so I think looking to them to understand really what we want. There's a question here. It says, how do you use your lifestyle approach in the acute care setting, or is coaching all separate from your ER practice? Yeah. So both. Holist is a completely virtual company. We do 12-week programs around food and mindset around food and controlling weight, and getting your positivity back about who you are in the world. We do a ton of just, what and when you eat, which is, of course, from my perspective, going more unprocessed, certainly less processed carbs, whole, real foods, and really analyzing, mostly plants, although I don't force that on everybody. And really identifying the why behind why you want sustainable lifestyle change and why you're choosing the food that you are. So that is all, that's Holist in a nutshell. So that is, that's where all my coaches work for me. In the emergency department, I try to take every opportunity that I have when I see, fatty liver, or I see someone's overweight, or I see hypertension. I see all these things that I would have just probably blown off before and been like, that's for somebody's PCP. Is that now I try to take the opportunity to point out why it's important that they're paying attention to it, and point out that they actually maybe not even knew that they had it, and try to motivate them in some way. Not necessarily by scaring them, although sometimes that does work when they're in that moment of thinking they came in with an MI, but it's actually just GERD, and they were just scared shitless, and now they might actually hear what I'm about to say, right? But also just trying to tell them to value their health, and to and I do give out prescriptions for nutrition and exercise, which are just very basic, 150 minutes of moderately vigorous exercise per week, and then as I described, the way that I feel about food. So so I write them out as prescriptions and sign them and everything, and I try to make it as formal as possible that way. So thanks for the question.
Yeah,
I'm a believer. Holist is wonderful. I'm a physician. I've taken 2 classes with Holist. I had a wonderful experience. Oh, thank you. I can't see who you are because it just says Facebook user. But thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. So for somebody who's maybe considering doing, at least incorporating some bits of lifestyle medicine, they're already a full-time physician, maybe they're employed, they're on somebody else's plot. What would be some very quick, simple tips to get them started on really, first of all, incorporating more of it, but also maybe starting to think, because, Heather, one of the things that's come up with the pandemic really is a lot of physicians have been thrown off by, we always thought we would have a job. We never thought we'd be furloughed. We never thought that we would have to take pay cuts. We never thought we would be getting paid $23 per consult on telehealth. That was me. And so more and more physicians are thinking we need to diversify, if you will. And so can you maybe talk about that a little bit, about how maybe they can start, that you don't have to quit your day job, but you can start building your vision to where you can then develop this thing.
Yeah. And that was Dr. Nicole Solomos who said those kind of things. Thank you, Nicole. So I think the first thing to do is to think about how you have unique aspects to the way that you think about health and the way you think about lifestyle medicine, whatever that is, or maybe it's outside of medicine. There's those are some of us are doing parenting coaching, whatever it is, that you have. What makes you unique and different, and what are your skills? And if you can marry those two things together with help, you're going to be able to brand yourself and market yourself differently than everyone else. And so I think coming up with just listing the things, and it's hard for us to do, but listing the things that we love about ourselves and that we do really well, and asking people around us, what do you think I do really well? And getting, because sometimes we don't recognize that for ourselves. For me, it's organization and moving the pieces, right? And figuring that out. And then I think looking for ways to make what you currently do in your medical practice as efficient as possible, so that you're not wasting time there when you could be building something for your future with those minutes. And so is that getting a charting coach? Is that deciding you want a day off a week? Is it, you can do these hybrid is it that you get a different job that lets you do something like that? And you can have that. I mean, I'm obviously I still worked full time until right now, because I was anxious about not having that steady stream of income when my husband's home. And so
Right.
you can't always just quit your job. And I could have never have quit this job 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago, or 6 months ago.
Yeah.
So I think that those are the first two things I would think of saying. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that
Yeah.
was great. Thank you. I think, yeah, at least my mindset used to be that, I go to work, I come home, I'm tired, I complain about work, but there was all this downtime now that I, look back and I think, wow, like if I had spent that time like building, even if it took 5 years, so what? Like if that was all I could do at that speed, but I would have been in a different situation now. So I'm kind of trying to get like the physicians who are just starting to start kind of thinking about these things in a broader term. So
Yeah.
I think there's more questions coming in, huh?
Yeah.
Ah.
I think the other thing I would add to that is that, like, I really think, and I know I said this already, but I really would ask for help early. Like I took a bunch of like online courses where I was like sort of mentored by people to like develop things on my own. But really when it came down to it is like, there's no comparison to an expert coach who can tell you how to do all of the things. The other one, I'm going to get to this advertising question here in a second, but the other thing to think about when you're thinking about what you're uniquely skilled at, what you're good at, and what fires you up, like what you really like to talk about, like forget to go eat lunch kind of talk about, is how can I build whatever it is that I'm building from the beginning to be as automated as possible, so that you don't do the same stuff over and over and over again, because you can't scale like that. Like for me, my lifestyle medicine online course and all of my, lifestyle health and weight programs are all like as automated as possible the whole way through the advertising funnel till they get on the phone with me or one of my salespeople. And then once we book them, the whole 12 weeks is all the content they get is automated out. And then the coaches meet them weekly to talk about mindset and food and adjustments. But like the content is like, it's like, imagine in the emergency department, if we had a way to do the chest pain rule out conversation once and never have it again, right?
Right.
You're going to say the same things over and over and over again, whatever it is that you're building. And so try to automate it as much as possible. So,
that's a really good point. Yeah.
So this Facebook comment is, how did you advertise to attract your first 20 clients? So the first 40 were just pure organic. It was me being super vulnerable on social media and coming out, which was really hard for me. I just don't really care what anybody thinks about me, but at the time was me just going out and being like, hey, I want to help some people lose weight. Like if that's you, and come find me. And they did. And I did it right around the first of the year, I just like for 2 weeks was just on social media every single day. And people sent people to me, and people are always excited when you're starting out with something new, right? It's like shiny and new, and they want to support you and everything else. So that's how I got the first 20. Now, since June of 2018, I've been doing mostly paid marketing on social media, so Facebook and Instagram. I've built multitudes of funnels to get people into a webinar and then to me, so that they can hear about the program, and that's how that works. And it's Facebook does not make it easy to run your business on Facebook, even though they take lots and lots of money. And if you mention weight, they will put you in Facebook jail for hate crime.
Oh my goodness. I just want to circle back a little bit to what you said, that the vulnerability of, I was just thinking about this actually the last few days, and I thought, as physicians, we've never really had to like sell our wares, right? Like, you went to school and did really good, you got really great grades, you went to medical school, you got really great grades, you go to it's like kind of a smooth pathway that way. And even when you go to interviews, it doesn't feel like you're having to like sell yourself, like you have 10 interviews, lined up. And so this is such a new, it's almost it's such a different part of our brain almost that we have to really encourage. And yeah, it feels very vulnerable. And like people who are in sales and marketing, they kind of look at us like, what's the big deal? To them it comes as naturally as breathing. But
Yeah.
kudos to you for being like able to
Yeah,
overcome
I mean,
that.
it was hard at first, and it still is. If you go on the comments of some of my Facebook ads and you're like, why are you people being so mean to me?
Mean. I
One lady told
know,
me
it
to brush
hurts.
my hair. I was like, I did, thanks. Thanks for the feedback.
God.
But for me, it was really hard. I just made the decision, and I still do this. I don't watch anything that I put out there. I don't listen to anything that I don't listen to my podcast. Once I have a podcast called Curate Your Health. If anybody wants to come on and be interviewed, let me know. That I don't listen to those. It's just because we're our own worst critic, right? And nobody else is thinking all the bad things that we think about ourselves. And so if you recognize that and just put it out there and realize that what you have to offer, no one else has. You are entirely different than everyone else. Even if you forget like 3/4 of what you wanted to say, like you still gave value of what someone else didn't have. And so if we want to be out there and we want to show people that doctors are real people and we're authentic and we want to help, like we can't just sit back. And on a lot of different topics we could talk about for ages, but social media is one of those things. Once people see you enough, they trust you and they'll come back to you for business as long as you're being real, right? And it's like I think they call it the spotlight effect. It's like if you like you're always thinking that people are paying more attention to you than they really are. and you could put the same thing up 5 times in 5 different places. Nobody's going to see that, right? Like, so you just have to go for it. Okay, a couple questions here. We have are your sessions in person or on online groups? Who runs these sessions when you're working? Yeah, so all online. We take clients from all over the world. We use a telehealth type confidential video service to do that and to organize our clients. And I don't do any of the coaching myself anymore, except for some group coaching for our private clients a couple times to bring value, but a couple times a month. But I have dietitians, doctors, nurses who are life coaches and hypnotherapists and neurologists, and I assign or my team assigns after we talk to someone when they come into the program what food coach is best matched with them and what mindset coach is best matched with them, and then the 3 of them run with it. I'm intricately involved in the fact that like I'm on every text message and email, and I'm like always chiming in, and the clients all have my cell phone number. I've gotten like 4 text messages since we've been here, and I'm happy to do that, but I don't do the actual coaching person one-on-one anymore. So I hope that's helpful. How do you draw the line between your medical practice with need to malpractice and coaching them when considering liability coverages? Yeah, I get asked this question all the time. And you ask 6 lawyers, you get 6 answers is the answer. For those of you in the female physician entrepreneur group, I did interview a lawyer who is also a health coach and a life coach in that.
Lisa, right?
Lisa Fraley. Yeah. And so I think she does a pretty good job of, being conservative, but not so much so. Like I said, we're doing coaching. We're very clear that we're doing coaching. We're very clear in our contracting and with all of our conversations. You need to talk to your doctor about that. What our scope of practices, right? If you're a dietitian, like she's not being a dietitian, she's holding the space and helping you create the plan that you need while we provide you the information. And so that's like my clients get a daily podcast with references and resources to give them that information. That's from me, but the coaching is separate. So that being said, I do have malpractice company that I contract with for Holist, but it's like, our contracts are stone cold clear on what that is. And that's the best that you can do, I think. Because like, it seems crazy that like anybody could hang up a shingle and say that they're a health coach and that we're worrying about this when we're this qualified. But contracts are everything.
Yeah. So that's really good to hear though, because that does, like you said, come up a lot. And that's another thing that holds a lot of people back because of that issue of, is it my MD hat or my coaching hat? But clearly you have figured out a way. And then, the other thing is, when you look at why doctors get sued, it's a lot of times it's not necessarily, I mean, it is sometimes because of gross negligence, and somebody dies or whatever. But a lot of times it's because the patient didn't like you for some reason.
Right.
That's, clearly. And this is such almost a low risk thing, because when you are going in there with this attitude of, I want to help you get better, I mean, seriously, like the chances of you getting sued are almost like nothing, compared to what you do in your real day job.
Well, and we vet, right? Like, I don't let just anybody in. Like, until just the last couple of months, it's been me on the phone with you for an hour before you decide if you want to do our program and if I want to let you into the program. Now I have other people that help me do that, but the purpose of that is so that we know you're going to do the work, that you're serious about it, and that this is the right thing for you. And so we get to know each other very well. Like, people get on the phone with me and they're like crying within a couple of minutes, right? And we, bring them in and change their life. And 12 weeks later, they're on the phone with me, effusive, right? And so it's a hugely powerful process for both us as the coaches and them. The other thing is, what was I going to say about malpractice before you said that? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll remember.
Okay. Sorry if I interrupted your
no worries.
Heather, not necessarily asking for exact price, dollar amounts, but have you been able to make this like somewhat affordable for your clients? Because really, this is not something traditional insurance pays for, right?
Yeah. They don't. And I wish they did. Some people have used their HSA cards. I don't ask questions about that because I don't know the details. That's on them.
Right.
We have group programs and we have personal programs. So we've tried to have an input for most people, and we make payment plans and we help people put deposits down first. But for the most part, if you're paying for expertise, like, it's the time that takes to have two personal coaches fixing a lifelong problem for you. So there is a cost to that. But we try to we have like, one-off consultations. We have, a lower cost fitness program. We have a group program for the weight. So we try to help best we can.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really great.
Yeah.
What are you seeing, going forward? What's kind of your vision of growing Holist?
Oh man, I think the sky's the limit. I really do. I mean, especially now, like, I thought when the pandemic hit that maybe I would just fold, right? I mean, nobody knew what was going to happen. And I've tripled my revenue. And I think it's because people, first of all, I was ready because I had I'd been doing all this work and we were just about, to really fly anyway. But I also think it's, right now, people are realizing that life is never going to be the same again. And they don't want to be the same person either. And this is an opportunity for people to look themselves in the face, to look at their bodies, to think about their thoughts and figure out where they want the rest of the world go. And the rest of their life. And so that's been the conversations that I've been having, 15, 20 hours a week with women around the country. And they're ready. And so I think we should all be meeting them there for that, regardless of what we want to do. So I don't remember where I was going with that, but
well, just that, what you think the future holds for, I guess, for lifestyle medicine, but also holistic.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think the sky's the limit. I think I'm growing teams, and my coaches are just amazing. And, women are just seeing huge differences in their minds, in their bodies. And I couldn't be happier. So I think we're flying. For lifestyle medicine, I think it's up for you guys to figure out how to make this work within the context of medicine, whether that means putting it into your traditional nephrology, practice, or whether it means you're actually opening up lifestyle medicine practices. I think the more people hear about it, the better off it's going to be. I think we need better advocacy to get better payment structures for a lot of this.
Totally.
Because like, you know, you're not going to do it if you're not getting paid for it. And you should be getting paid for what you're doing. So, yeah. So I think for lifestyle medicine that you really need, I think we need better advocacy. But someone's asking, are you working with family units on holists or strictly individuals? We have couples come in all the time, and we have had a couple mom daughter couples as well, and we do take men. I mean, I'm not discriminating against men. It's just that my marketing somehow just speaks more to women, but we have had a handful of men come in, including a handful of semi-pro athletes who wanted to just improve their endurance, not lose weight necessarily. And so, you know, as we all know in lifestyle medicine, you know, eating unprocessed, eating mostly plants, not eating all of the time, and analyzing your brain and your mind and your mindfulness is going to improve all of that. So yeah, for sure. Someone's asking about coaching training. We talked about that. I did in the Institute of Integrative Nutrition about 16 years ago when it was still an inline in-person program. There are a lot of great programs out there, though. I've been sending people to the Well Coaches School primarily recently. They really jive with their ACLM training and are approved by them, and do a lot of the trans-theoretical behavior model work that we really love here at Holist. So, yeah. And
I believe you can get CMEs for it too.
Perhaps, yeah. I think
so. I checked it out a while ago, and I believe you can use CME, so that's kind of a nice,
cool.
Thing too.
You know, what I was going to say about the malpractice piece for you docs who are listening is that, you know, if you're really worried about this, and you don't think that getting strong enough contracts is enough to make you feel better, then find something you're passionate about that you want to build that isn't related to health. You know, I mean, there are people who are doing life coaching and parenting coaching and, you know, all sorts of things like that it won't cross so close to the line. It was what I was going to say.
Well, that's interesting you bring that up, because that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, good. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to start my course in life coaching here pretty soon. So, yeah, awesome. You're right. You know, I think it's a level of comfort that people have too. And if it's something that really bothers you, and you know, then maybe something else is okay, but you can still use those skills as well with the patients, because then you can kind of direct them like into Heather's program. You know, and say, okay, you know, it sounds like your weight is really an issue here. Well, I know this, you know, that's kind of how you get them to where they need to be, right? Like if they needed financial, you know, cleaned up, then you would say, how about this resource, right? So, or parenting.
Yeah, that's what I talk to people about I talk to people about that all the time. Like, it's easy for people to like understand if you have a business coach that like, if it's going to cost X amount of money, but you're going to make $10,000 next week, like it's easy to understand that. But like trying to help people understand that looking for help around your life return on investment, it's like, what's the price of what you're feeling right now? And what's the cost that you've had for the last 5, 10, 20 years that you've been 50 pounds overweight and telling yourself all this negative self-talk? And do you want to still pay the price of doing that for the next 5 to 20 years? Right. And so that's kind of how you can help people make that decision around investing in something like experts to help them do that. And then, and so, we'll take whoever. We love changing lives over here. That's for sure. So, and the other thing, so the primarily streaming into some lifestyle medicine groups here, but just, for you guys that are out there and feeling excited, like I'm happy to message with you about any of this stuff. If you want to run ideas past anyone, just realize that like we as physicians, we already know how to talk to people. We already know how to read people. We already know how to work in teams. We know how to do the hard things, right? Like we do hard things. And whether it's in health, whether it's in the medical model, whether it's something totally different that lights you on fire, like you can do it. You have the skills to do it. You just have to like stop thinking that you're not worth it or that your ideas aren't worth it. Because, you know, you can really make a big difference, and it doesn't have to be in a place where you have to go to work and put on an N95 and be uncomfortable all day and like wait for someone else in the administration to treat you badly and give you no autonomy and then cut your pay. It doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
And you can change lives maybe even more. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
What we're doing is amazing. So.
Yeah. And, I think a matter of time too, we kind of, we all know we're going to die, but we kind of seem to float in this idea we have unlimited time or, oh, I'll just do it later. That was me, I'll be honest with you. And I think part of that's why I'm attracted to coaching, because you have somebody who can really get you to your goals in a quicker and a faster and more efficient way, whether it's health coaching or whatever, any type of coaching we're talking about, because it's almost like a foreign concept to some of us, at least, and that might be cultural, I don't know. But because I've talked to a couple of other physicians of Indian origin, and they're like, what's all this coaching stuff about? Like, that was kind of the same way, to be honest with you, because we never think that's an investment in ourselves, right? Like, if actually somebody said this, like, as physicians, we don't mind dropping $500,000 or more on a house, or a car that depreciates. I mean, not $500,000, but you know what I mean? That depreciates the minute we drive it out of the parking lot. And yet, when it comes to, hey, I have this goal and this big dream, and I can sort of, muddle through it, but if I can get to it quicker, then you have a longer time to enjoy the results and the fruits of your labor, right? Because otherwise, if you get to it when you're 55, then you only have 10 years or something to enjoy it. You know what I mean? So I
don't think I'm gonna ever not have a coach again for myself. Like, really, like after the last 9 months. Because I don't know what I don't know, right? And other people know how to do these things. And so you just said it, like, why waste your time when you can go to someone and have them teach you how to do it, and teach one, do one, coach one, right? And so I don't know where I'm going to go as a person. Like, when am I going to need, Dr. Payal, who's the parenting coach, like, when am I going to need, another business coach? When am I going to have struggles in my marriage that I need someone to help me with? I don't know those things. And I'm not going to know how to deal with them when I get there. And if someone already knows how to do it, then I'm going to ask for it. And for me this year, it's been business, marketing, and sales. And it may not always look like that, but I think it's really important for us. So let's talk a little bit about the difference between coaching and medicine, because I think that does come up a lot. So in medicine, we listen and then we prescribe. And even if we do it in the nicest possible way, we're still just telling someone else what to do. And they don't listen. I mean, sometimes they do, right? If they listen, then most of them don't do it. And the reason why is because nobody likes to be told what to do. Nobody likes being restricted. Nobody likes being uncomfortable, right? And so what coaching does is it allows you to create a space for somebody, like a physical and like emotional space, where they feel comfortable and they trust you, and you listen and you listen and you listen, and you ask questions and you ask more questions, and the person finds the answer themselves through information you give them, and by them realizing their why and what's important and what they need, the things that are big enough for them to actually be uncomfortable. Because no change happens in your comfort zone, right? Like, it just doesn't. And so you can ask those questions as a coach and get into their inner self and into their inner thoughts and help them recreate new thoughts, them to the feelings and the actions and the results that they have. But if they don't recognize the thoughts that they're having subconsciously, they're going to get the same feelings, actions, and results, right? So that's what coaching really is like getting in there and just asking questions, making them slightly uncomfortable, helping them kind of get to just the next step by understanding, the contemplation, pre-contemplation, action stages of health decision making, and getting them just a little bit farther every time. But they're the one that's coming up with the plan. And they're the one deciding what they're going to do for themselves. And they're the ones that are going to say, my new thought is that, that I am worth this. I'm worth making a choice of the food that I want to have, because my goal is in 10 years from now, I'm going to be running after grandkids and feeling better than I've ever felt, right? Like whatever it is that they come up with. And you can hold the space for that, but you're not telling them what to do. And I think that's why, whether it's business coaching or whether it's marketing or whether it's parenting or whatever it is, it's like, that's why it's so powerful, because you're helping someone make their own future, instead of just saying, eat more unprocessed food, right? And then someone walks out of your office and goes and gets like, something from Dunkin' Donuts or something, right? So
absolutely. You said it so beautifully. You really did.
thanks.
I just love how you framed that. I mean, obviously this comes naturally to you. I mean, you've had the training and whatever, but you can actually use that in your ER when you're wearing your ER doctor hat too. I'm thinking there's already this like coaching going on there too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
totally,
like little
totally.
tips, like maybe hospitalist, like I was a hospitalist. So how would you like just use that in that 2 or 5 minutes that you have with the patient?
Well, I would like print out the CT scan that says that they have fatty liver and go in and give them like a 1 to 2 minute spiel about what that actually means and why it happened from processed carbohydrates, and what they can, and like these are 3 things you can replace that easily. And I'm going to print something out for you, and I know you can do this. I'm super inspired by our conversation right here, and like here's my email if you want to ask some questions. And I send every person out of the ER with my email and with the Google Voice
Oh,
number.
wow.
And they all get nutrition and exercise information, and people don't abuse it. But I do get people come back and ask questions and tell me good results, and it's doable. I think for me, like, I don't know if my skill comes from the fact that I got a coaching certificate. I think the main reason why people should get a coaching certificate is to learn the model of coaching. Not necessarily that you don't already know the information. It's more the model and how it's different from medicine. And I also think you should have a coaching hat from a legal perspective, that you can wear. I think that for me, I just have always just told it how it is. And that's just my personality. And I think because I care about people so much, and I think that comes through when I'm working with them, that I can say the things that nobody really has wanted to say. And that's why I think that we're successful. And I think my coaches are similar to me, or at least come at things with their own perspective and own personalities, that we can all work together really well as a team.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I don't know that we have any more questions, but I, I was just thinking, do you have any other tips maybe for the physicians who are watching now or might be watching the replay later? Just any general sort of tips about their own mindset, or just how we can sort of, like you said, the advocacy piece doesn't seem to be really there. That's another aspect. Maybe some of the physicians could work, within ACLM or anything else like that. Or maybe actually, well, yeah, because there's also this overlap of like lifestyle over integrative, over functional, there's a little bit of some of it's, there are commonalities in certain ways that are a little bit different. But I mean, I think the underlying principle is still the same, right?
I think there are some big differences between them. And I obviously am not an integrative or a functional doc, so I wouldn't want to speak for them. But I think in lifestyle medicine, what we do is we're not, we're more concentrating on one person and improving their behavioral habits that get them to that we know our evidence shows gets them to better long-term health. Integrative medicine is pulling together. It's a little bit of what I'm doing, right? Like pulling together different modalities of things, but more within the medical model. And then functional is kind of digging down into that, micro part of us and supplementing what they find is missing. Whereas, I'm sure it works. For me, I wouldn't be able to take all the supplements. I just would rather eat real food. But so my tips for doctors, I think my tips for doctors is the same as it is for everyone. And like half of my clients are female docs, right? And so it's like, it's all the same, but it's you have to walk the walk if you are going to be helping people with behavior change. And so you may have to realize the same thing I tell everyone else, is that none of this about health, especially about weight, is a willpower issue. It's a skill power issue because it's a hormonal dysregulation problem. You would not tell yourself, you know, shame yourself for not being able to make like 30 cc's more of urine, right? Like this is like an energy balance problem, and it's very hormonally complicated. So you need the skills to do it. And some of those skills are realizing that you really control 4 things in your life. And one is what you put in your mouth. The second is how you move your body. The third is what your thoughts are. And the fourth is what your inner state is. And so if you can figure out how you can get the skills to make sure that those 4 things are the healthiest that you can be for you, you're going to be so much better off, whether it's a pandemic or not, right? Like you like me knowing how to control my thoughts at 3 a.m, wearing all that PPE and having no idea the prevalence of this disease was a blessing, right? So if you can control those 4 things, figure out healthy ways to do that for yourself, you're going to be a better doctor, a better business owner, you know, better parent, better spouse, right? So those 4 things I think are important. I think spreading that message to your patients also, like especially if they come to you to talk to you about weight, there's so much shame and blame around being overweight that if you can give people that like positivity that like it's skill power, not willpower. And like, if you don't know how to help them, like we do, but letting them just get some of that off of their shoulders so that they can see the things that they can fix. And from a business perspective, it's the same thing. Like you're not going to build your own business into something that lets you, you know, retire from medicine without being able to choose your food and choose your movement and choose your thoughts and choose your inner state. You just can't. And so I think that's kind of my summary of life, really.
I like that. I mean, I really do. You know, there's a lot of, you know, because ultimately when it comes down to it, with all the information that's available at people's fingertips,
so confusing.
People know what they're supposed to do, right? Like everybody knows that eating, you know, a bag of potato chips is not the same as eating a whole potato. It's really about the mindset and figuring out what is, you know, how is it that you want to take control of your life and how do you want your life to look like? And, you know, there's so much burnout among us docs too. I mean, we're all victims of the same thing. Ultimately, we are human, and I think we need to accept that. But then we need to also take responsibility and control of our own lives, you know? I mean, get out of that victim mentality. Oh, the administrators are making me do this or whatever, you know, we can come up with a million things of why. But like you said, you know, Heather, we went to medical school. We went through residency. If we can do that, we can pretty much do anything, you know? So that's
yeah,
really...
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, I sort of said this earlier, but, you know, if you are trying to build a business to get out of medicine, what you need to do first is to hire yourself a burnout coach and to see if A, you can love medicine again, B, if you can just change your situation so that you love it more, or change it enough that you have the flexibility, or they get you to understand that you don't maybe need a quarter of that income, that you can cut back and then go after the dream, right? So I just, you know, I think I think it's important that we just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, you know?
Yeah. It reminds me of this something I read, and it says, yes, you can have it all, but not all at the same time. I mean, in the sense that something's got to give. You can't want to have a full-time job that you're not really happy with and have a very successful business and make sure your kids don't, you know, like run away and do drugs or something. I mean, it's just, you know, but it's doable. I mean, you're really an example of that. Looks like there's more questions.
Yeah. How many of your patients continue to maintain weight and lifestyle at the end of year 1? We've had great statistics. I don't have them right in front of me to give you. I can't, and people ask me all the time when they're on their strategy call before they come into the program, you know, is this going to work for me? Right. And it's like, we've had, you know, I don't even know how many clients at this point, well over 300 probably. And and the vast majority of them, first of all, like what we're doing is based on evidence. And so it's not like faddish or crazy, right? So it's going to work for that reason. The second reason is that I don't let anyone in who's not ready to do the work. And I ask really hard questions, and I say no to people when they, aren't ready to come in. I'll give you homework and you can come back if this really is something you want, or if they've just got like an attitude that I know they're just not ready to do that harder mindset work. The other is that we do very uniquely work on your brain. And so the non-scale victories of people coming out with better sleep, better attitudes, got a new job, got rid of that husband, all those things, like, feeling a better parent, you're getting off of your diabetes meds, you're getting off of your serotonin reuptake meds, right? When you're not using sugar to flood your brain with serotonin anymore. Just all those things that people are just so happy with. So yes, people get to 8 to 10% body weight off at the end of 12 weeks when they come in and do the work. People do stay for continued coaching sometimes. We do that. Or they come back for a 6 and a 12-month follow-up appointment. And the vast majority of them got to their goals, or they're getting to their goals, or they're just really happy with how everything else has changed. Have people come in and not done the work and not gotten any results? Yes. Have we worked with some people who did everything we asked them to and they did not get results? Yes, but it was, probably two hands, less than two hands worth, right? So, so I don't have numbers for you, but people do get to their goals for sure.
Do you encourage them to have labs checked before they start the program and after and all that? Check, make sure that
I would love to, but I would love to, but I think it's just a little too much.
Too much, yeah.
For coaching, yeah. I do encourage them to go to their doctor and tell them they're doing it, and then maybe that person knows enough to tell them what labs to do. So I also always encourage them that if their doctor wants to talk to me, or to one of the coaches, that we would always be happy to do that. That's only happened a couple of times, but when it has, it's been really powerful, because that doctor will get back on the phone and be like, that lady dropped 25 pounds and does not even look like she's acting like the same person. You know what I mean?
And that's great, because there's still education that needs to happen among conventional physicians too.
Yeah.
So that's
the other thing I can offer. Right? Yeah, the other thing I can offer to you guys as well is I am setting up with some docs doing group coaching for their patients. So if you have a collection of 8 to 10 patients that would benefit from a group, could thrive in a group environment, and that you want to have going through it all together, we can just do the virtual coaching for you. And we can set up a relationship to do that for sure. So
that's pretty awesome too. Wow.
Cool. Okay, well, so I'm just going to drop a link into the comments here to how to get on a call with me if you want to hear about personally coming into the weight wellness program. If you want to see the website, it's in the comments right here. And if you just want to talk to me about business development or anything like that, just send me a Facebook message or friend me, and I'm happy to provide anything you need.
Great. Oh my goodness. Any last minute words of advice, Heather?
No, I mean, I just wanted you guys to know that it's really hard work to build your own business, as those of you who do it know. And yesterday I took the whole day off and I played on the river with my kids and was having a cocktail with my husband. And I looked at him and I was like, can you believe it's happened? Can you believe that all this work and I'm going part-time and, I'm paying all these people and we're changing all these lives, but my life is infinitely better for it. So, it will happen if you follow the right steps. And that's asking for help. It's asking for mentors and coaches. It's being vulnerable to people telling you your ideas are bad, right? It's it's automating, right? It's finding the right team. It's having you not be the only person providing the service. And if you can kind of get all of that lined up, I think you'll be where I am. It just might be 3 years.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for willing to do this.
Of course.
I just think we all have to just keep supporting each other and boosting each other up. And, we're all very talented and very caring human beings, or we wouldn't have all gone into medicine in spite of all
Yeah,
the craziness of medicine
totally.
now.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
And
It's just one more thing for me to not
yeah.
watch, right? It's like, I also put into the comments, just so that you guys, if you want to follow along, Facebook group called Curate Your Health is where I do trainings and challenges and all sorts of stuff. That's a free public group. And then there's a podcast by the same name where I interview other doctors and health professionals, leadership folks about all sorts of things that we wish people knew. So, and it's just like this. It's just us chatting. It's just an audio. So thanks, Yashoda. It
Well,
was lovely to see
you're
you.
welcome. You're welcome.
And
I think you must have a secret twin though, because I still can't even imagine how you're doing all of this.
It's a very supportive husband and consistency. So
Well,
yeah.
then it's your passion, it's something that you deeply believe in. And I think it's like everything else in life. If it's something that we deeply believe in, we make time for it.
Yeah.
It's that simple and
Yeah.
that difficult at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah,
Whatever
sure.
it might be.
For
So,
sure. Well, thanks for doing this summit,
thank you so
and
much.
and
Yes.
definitely keep using my StreamYard. You and I'll just be like
Thank
twinsies.
you.
Well, people will be like, "Is that Heather? Doesn't
Yeah.
really look like her." But
I
I'm
know,
always
but
happy
hi,
to save
Brenda.
someone else some money. So
Thank you. I do appreciate that. I thank you so much. I
yeah.
really, really, really thank you for doing this. And thank you for the audience for being with us. And people will probably watch this on replay. We'll just leave it up on the Facebook pages. So
Yep. Sounds
thank
good.
you.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye.